Hello, I'm Mark, and welcome back to my Unreal Engine tutorial on how to build a music management component for your Unreal Engine games. In this tutorial, we're going to integrate our music component into our games project and test out several of its play features within the project. So let's get started. So first off, we'll do a quick little recap of what we did in part one. So in part one, we defined our data structures first. So we created this music track structure, which will be housing each piece of music that we want to play within our music player. We created a playlist row, which we'll be using within Unreal Engine's data tables. So we can then have several pieces of music tied to a playlist, and we can have multiple playlists for our music player to choose from. And then finally, we defined our music player components here, and we created a little core music play state here so that we can set how we want to play music, which is located in our music player. So let's get started in part two in integrating this component into the Unreal Engine solution. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and put this music component in the game instance. So there's several places that we could put this. We could either put it in the game instance, we could put it in the map, or we could put it into one of the actors. Since I kind of want this component to have more of a global reach within my game, I'm going to go ahead and put it at the instance level. So let's go ahead and create a custom game instance so that we can add our components to the game. So what we'll do is we'll come in here, we'll go to all classes, and we'll go ahead and find the game instance. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this game instance and then we're going to create a custom version of this. So we'll go ahead, select game instance, hit next. I'll keep it as my game instance for now. Just make it public, and then we'll go ahead and say create class, and then we'll let Unreal Engine and Visual Studio do its thing. And of course, it's the first compile of the day. I'll say reload all, and there it is. So now we have our game instance, which is inheriting from the default game instance, and looks like Visual. Yep, we've got a successful compile. So let's go ahead and add the pieces so that we can integrate our component into this. So first off, let's go ahead and set up our zones, our public and protected zones. And let's go ahead and add the component. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it from my other solution. So here we are. We're going to make it a property of uCore component class, which is up here, and we're going to need to go ahead and add the include file. Which is in the music folder, and there it is. So that's all we need to do there. Now we have a pointer placement, and I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to set the properties to edit anywhere. I'm going to make it blueprint read only, and then we'll just just make it look nice and neat. We'll create category, system, and audio. Next, under public, I'm going to go ahead and override the game instance and initialization class. So that's what this is. So we can come here. Since we're going to be overriding this, we need to do a couple of things. The first thing, we always need to make sure that we call the base no, not that one. I'll just take it from over here. Always need to make sure we call super init first. And then after we've called super init, then what we'll do is we'll then go ahead and run our modules, our new systems, music systems initialization function. So there it is. And then that's that. And that's all we need to do there. Next, we'll go ahead and create a little get function so we can access it from our game instance class. So here we are, and we'll just force inline it since it's just going to be a simple little getter, and just make sure that when we do this we make this a constant, so that way we're not exposing this pointer outside of the class. And then finally, since there's going to be some, when we get to the play states, right, and we want to play, either repeat the list or repeat a shuffle track, we'll need to have some kind of time instance on that. So to do that, I'm going to piggyback on the maps tick. So to do, and since game instance doesn't have its own tick functionality, we'll just go ahead and create a little function that we can tie in to run so that we can get a delta time. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. We'll go ahead and again make a pointer reference. Always when you're dealing with pointers, you want to make sure that the pointer is valid before you execute anything off it. That way, if either the pointer has not been instantiated, you're not going to get some kind of pointer error at runtime, which could cause your engine to crash. So now that we've got these two functions defined, I think we're good to go. We'll go ahead and come back to Unreal Engine. We'll go ahead and compile, and hopefully we'll get a good compile. All right, we got a good compile. So now that we've got a custom game instance, let's go ahead and integrate that instance into our solution. So first off, we're going to come up to content. I'm just going to go ahead and create a blueprint, and then we're going to find the my game instance, which is our new game instance. I'm going to hit select. And we'll just call it, give it a name, call BP my game instance. And we'll just hit save for now. And we'll come back to that file a little bit later. But first off, we need to make sure that our project is going to use that game instance and not the default. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to, edit, project settings, and then from project settings, we're going to go to maps and modes, and then we're going to come down all the way down to game instance class, and there we are. And we're going to pick the blueprint version versus the C++ version of the game instance. Once that's done, we should be good to go. So now when we come back, we can open up our blueprint, and I'll just pull that out there. So this, we're not going to be creating any events or anything in here, so I can probably just close that, or if I close this and reopen it again, chances are I'll just come up and say, in the data version. So here we are, we have our systems, audio, music system, and right now it's set to none, but we can change that by going into the drop down and seeing, here's our class, and as soon as we select the class, we'll go ahead and compile and save, and then we can open up our music system drop down, and we can see the metadata that we already defined in the class previously. And then we also have a reference to our playlist here, and as you can see, we don't have any data tables yet, so we'll go ahead and create the data table so we can tie that into our music system. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll go over to the content drawer, and we'll go ahead and import our music and set up our table. So let's go ahead and create some folders first. Go create an audio folder. and add music, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more. And this is going to be where I'm going to place my WAV files. Now I've got about 3 WAV files that I already have set up, so I'm just going to go and grab my WAV files from where they're located, and I'm just going to drag and just drop them in, and there they are. Now that that's done, I'll just move that off to the side. We'll go ahead and make sure everything's saved. And then I'm going to come back up one to music, and let's go ahead and create our data table. So that's under miscellaneous, data table. And then once we have this, we need to go find our class, which we're going to be using as a row. So there we are, playlist row. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Give it a name, and then we can go ahead and open this up, and I'll just do a quick little save. So now this is our playlist, so let's go ahead and create some music tracks in our playlist. So first off, let's go ahead and add a row. So we've gone ahead and add a row. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tie off this row into the current playlist ID. So as you can see, the ID here is going to map to the row name, which is our key in our data table. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So then under here, I actually have the actual list. So this can be our game music, and we can go say okay. And if we have a description, we can put a description in there. I just don't have one. And then let's go ahead and start adding our tracks. So call this one main title. I'm just going to go ahead and add all 3 first. And the second one, we'll just go ahead and call this one space travel. Why not? And we'll go ahead and create the third one while we're here. And this is ambiance. I think that's how you spell it. There we go. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll pop open these tracks and go ahead and fill out some additional data here. So main title, let's go ahead and just fill this out. We'll go ahead and call this main title. This is kind of the theme. Now I'm also going to include the credit. So under credit, this is kind of, yeah, since I didn't create these music, someone else did, so we'll go ahead and add that there under the credits, and then we'll go ahead and find the music. So this is in Interstellar space, and we'll go ahead and just save that. I'm just going to minimize that one. We'll go ahead and get the second one, and we'll do the same thing. We'll say this is, call this space traveling. Why not? Again, put our credit in there, and we'll go ahead and find it. There we are, Interstellar space travel. And then our third one is going to be down here. And this is our space ambiance. Do that. And again, make sure that we credit our source. And that's it. And that's all we need to do to create our playlist. So we have a single row here. So this allows us to have we can actually have multiple lists. So if we wanted to have different group list, playlists within a game, we could have multiple, or you could just have one, which is your default. It's up to you. So now that we've got that, we can now come back to here and we can go ahead and just say, and there it is, there's our table, compile, save, and we're now all set up here. So then the only other thing we need to do to start piping music into our map is to come up to our map. So I'll just move this off a little bit real quick. So we'll come up to the map, we'll come open level blueprint, which will then go ahead and open up the levels blueprint, and we'll go ahead and start setting things up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an event, which is our begin play event. Event begin play. And then off event begin play, this is where we'll go ahead and create a pointer reference to our game instance, and then off our game instance we'll be able to access our music player. So all we have to do that is say get game instance, and it's right there. Then we would need to cast to my game instance, which is the one we want. Now we could either go with the blueprint or the C++ class. I'm going to go ahead with the C++ class, since all we're using the blueprint for is really just configuration data at this point. So we can call the C++ class, and then once we've cast it and we have a good cast coming back, I'm just going to go ahead and say promote to variable. So we have as my game instance, I think we'll just call it game instance to shorten that up a little bit. Compile, save, and then from there we can just call get music system. So because we're working in blueprints, you could call this variable directly. I'm just going to go ahead and just run it through the function, and then from here I just want to make sure that what we're getting back is actually validated. It's a valid pointer back. So again, just make sure, since we're dealing with objects and pointers, we just need to make sure that there's something at the end of that pointer that we're getting back and it's not null. So once we have that, then it's just a matter of just pointing to the playlist that we want to use, setting the play state, and then telling it which track to play. So from here, we'll just go set. So I'm just going to say set playlist ID. Right now it's set to none, but we'll go ahead and pull that playlist ID back. I'm just going to bring this down here, and then we'll put a little reroute node, and then off this reroute node we'll go ahead and say set play state, and we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll keep it none for now. And then finally, we'll say play music track. So we'll say and there that one is. So we'll just go ahead, link all those up. So now all we need to do is just create some settings. So playlist ID, well, we need something there, otherwise this is not going to work. So we'll just go ahead. This is the playlist ID that we want it to play. So we'll go ahead and set that as our playlist ID. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. So global_music. Keep that as none for now. And then let's go ahead and pick a track. I'm just going to go ahead and start with space travel. And we'll just put that over here for now. So I'm specifying that we're going to play this, and we're only going to play this once. And once the music's done, it'll stop. And we're not going to play anything else. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Hit save, and I'll just move this off. Well, yeah, we can just play it from here. and hopefully we should be able to hear some music coming through. And there it is. We're playing music within our game. Inspiration. And so that's it. So we've got ahead and we've validated that all of our code is working and that we can play a music track. So let's go ahead and test out some of these features. Now, that music that I brought in, it's it's kind of long, and so for so if we're going to test out these to make sure that repeat, play, and shuffle work, we'll probably need something a little bit shorter, just so we can test it out to make sure it will work. So to do that, let's go back into our playlist and let's just create a new playlist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here and we'll call this, for testing purposes, we'll just call this test sounds. I know, real cool. We'll make that test sounds, and let's go ahead and bring in some test sounds. So we'll make this sound 1. We'll open this up. I'm just not going to put anything in name and description, since this is just for testing. So let's go ahead. We have end play. I think this one was a good one. So we have end play and edit. So we'll use that one. It's quick. It's long enough to kind of get the point, but it's quick enough so that we can test our playback features. Leave everything the same. We'll go ahead and add another one. Sound 2. And we'll just go ahead and I think this one worked nicely for sound 2. And I'm going to use the Q sound. And then we'll go ahead and add the third one, which is 3. Minimize that. And what did I use over here? I think it was this one. I think that one sounds good enough. So, all right, so now we've defined our second playlist. We'll just go ahead and just grab the key. We'll come over here and we'll set that to global sound. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just take this out. So if we remember from part 1 of our video, the first video, part 1, we have the concept of if nothing is defined here, we will then just automatically randomly pick a piece, some music. Otherwise, if there is a tag there, we'll try and find the tag that we're looking, the key. If there is a key in there, we'll try ahead and find the track that's associated with that key and play that. So I'm just going to take that out so that we can get a bit of randomness. Now, since this needs time to work, we need to create, we need the tick event. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. So in our game instance, we've created the instance tick, which will allow us to run anything that is time sensitive. And we can then port that to whatever tick event we want to. So here I'm going to port it to the maps tick event. So I'm just going to say get game instance, right? I'm just going to then go ahead and say convert to a validated get. That way we can just quickly make sure that it's a valid instance and not a null pointer. And then from there, all we need to do is just call the instance tick function. That we created, and we just need to make sure we connect the delta time. And I'll just put some reroute nodes in here and here. Compile, save. All right, and so let's go ahead and test this. So let's set this to repeat. I'm just going to hit compile, save, and let's see what happens. So I'm just going to open it up. We'll hit this, and there it is. It's played once, and there it's repeating. And as you can see, the times between the tracks are a little bit different. There's, so that's due to that random function we created in part 1. So it's not exactly going to play at the same time every single time. All right, so we've got that working. So I'm just going to stop that. We'll go ahead and let's see if we can repeat the list. So I'm just going to hit compile and save. Just move this off to the side. One. All right, there's one. There's another. And it sounds like it's playing in a loop. All right, that seems to be working. And let's test the last one, which is just our play shuffle. So we'll go ahead, we'll hit compile, we'll hit save, hit play. There's the first. Sounds like it's in order right now, but nope, sounds random. And it's shuffling. All right. And I think that sounds like it's working out all right. So this is it for part 2. In part 3, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a little UI that we can access in the game, so that we can then select a music track from a list of of tracks. But we'll go ahead and do that in part 3. So thank you for watching my tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do like what I'm doing, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you later. Bye.